Okay, let's get into hookworms part 4, worm science. Try and bring the science to you. So basically there's two types of hookworms, and by the way, this is why you can really help people out by guiding them in the right direction and making sure they are not doing the wrong things for themselves. We want to make sure that the people that do any kind of therapeutic hookworms get the right species of hookworms. I call it the dog and the wolf. So you want to make sure you're buying a dog and you're not buying a wolf. There's two kinds, NA and the other one. So you can kind of distinguish them here on the slides. The one on the right is the Nectar americanus and Necator americanus. I don't know why these names have to be the good worm and the bad worm. Okay, and Ankylostoma. Anyway, I'm not quite as up on those names as I should be. It shows that even within the population of NA, which is the one that is most therapeutic, I can show you why later. There's great variation within the population themselves. So think of it, you have wolf and a dog. You want to make sure you don't get the wolf and you get the dog. If that's what you want to support your system. But even within dogs, there's species of dogs. There's poodles and there's Great Danes. And the more closely you can match the symptoms of that you're experiencing or the patient's experiencing with the right particular hookworm, the better therapeutic results seem to happen. Hookworms are very intelligent, and as our immune system tries to attack them, they actually have the ability to send out a bunch of decoys and distract our immune system from what it is trying to do, because they've been around longer than we have. Very interesting studies coming out now showing that hookworm can prevent transplant rejection. Again, by controlling the hyperinflammatory system, down-regulating the system, making it more, calming the immune system down, it makes, this was all studies in mice and rats, but it makes them less likely to reject their transplant if they transplant skin, or we could think of it in humans as, different transplantations people go through. Something to consider. So the way prednisone works is increases this chemical called IL-10. And we know prednisone is very therapeutic for people. Of course, long-term side effects are horrible. But for inflammatory states, it can be very calming. Well, they find that the hookworms work in a similar manner. Of course, in a biocompatible way that doesn't include the side effects. So there's different hookworms, as I said. Nectar NA good, AD bad is the way I look at it. Nectar americanus, and I can't even say that other one. Anyway, but the NA takes much less blood, has much less eggs, can't live outside the intestine, and the AD is the opposite on all of those. So again, very important that people know what they're doing. That's why I'm not a big fan of some of the self-starters. Worm differences, again, you got the dog worm and the wolf worm. And the differences you can see here if you want to look at the slide. But a lot more blood loss with wolf worm, a lot more stress on the body immunologically, can live outside the body, outside the intestine, can be transferred through breast milk, and none of that can happen with NA, the dog worm. Make sure your patients know what they're doing. Yeah, again, that's transfer through breast milk. And recent studies show the genetic variation across the populations of hookworms, and maybe at some point your doctor will have in his office a worm store, and the different you'll be able to select the right hookworm for Crohn's, colitis, MS, arthritis, diabetes, or all of Alzheimer's. Maybe that's part of our future medically. Geez, it's going to be a long section on worm science here. Eosinophils get elevated by hookworms. That's one of the ways to see that the hookworms have taken. And again, the body just seems to pick the amount of hookworms that it wants to have. Hookworms can live a long time in people, 3 to 10 years. And there's a slide that can live in longer. Again, eosinophils are the sign that hookworms have taken. And you see the places in the world where there's no worms have the highest rate of autoimmune disease. Oh, that wasn't so long. Okay, that concludes one of the parts. Part 4? Okay.